Hi, I'm Pastor Theron. Welcome to Church Where You Are and Story Sermons, relating life's experiences to the Bible. I'd like to tell you a story. But first, I'd like to say a special word of welcome and thanks to some old friends that I had the great honor and privilege of serving with in the military when I was stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, in the 1st Infantry Division back in the mid-90s. I'm thinking particularly of Paul and Randy and Scott and some of the other guys, Brant, Michelle, and Jack, and a lot of these other guys, and I really valued my time on active duty and the experiences that we had together. But I'd also like to say a special word of thanks to those not only that I served with, but that I served at the same time. For example, my wife Misty served in the Navy at the same time that I was on active duty with the Army, and my friend Ron, who was in the Marine Corps about the same time, and a lot of these guys, and I appreciate the fact that we all served together and that we did the very best we were able to do in serving the great people of this nation and the nation itself and supporting the Constitution. And it's been my great honor to do that through the years. And not only that, but now I work at the VA hospital here in Tennessee, and I have opportunity to bump into some of these guys, and I thank them for their service and recognize that we followed in their footprints. They blazed a trail for us, and we followed them, and it's a great honor to know that and to remind them that they went before us. But if we go all the way back many years ago, 77 years ago, in fact, today is June 6th, 2021. It's been 77 years since the invasion of Normandy and the beaches of France. And I had the great honor of having a World War II veteran in my second church in Lake Charles, and he told me stories of that day and his time there, and just amazing things that took place. But in 1994, I was one of a very small and select group of people that was invited to go to the 50th anniversary of D-Day in France, and went with a small detachment of us from the 1st Infantry Division. We were part of Company E, Echo Company, and the reason we got to go was we were part of the unit that still had surviving members from the invasion of Normandy back in 44. And so some of us were chosen to go. I don't know how I got to go except by the grace of God. I was about to get out. I was about to ETS from the Army, and they don't usually allow special privileges for people like that are about to go home. But somehow or another, I was taking a lot of pictures, a lot of photographs in those days, and I was showing them to our lieutenant, our platoon leader, and he said, "You ought to go and be our photographer." And so I guess he talked the commander into letting me go, and so that's what I did. Not only did we go to all the ceremonies and all of the different festivals and things, but I got to bring my camera, and I got into some very special access places. I didn't have a press pass or anything. They just saw the camera and they said, "Are you taking pictures?" And I said, "Yep." And I got to go behind the ropes and got to go into some back areas and some special places. It was a great honor. I will always remember and appreciate that. I have another video about watching the statue of Dwight Eisenhower being unveiled with all the flags and the doves being released on YouTube if you want to check it out. But I got to meet his son John, and just some really amazing experiences that I got to participate in, standing on Omaha Beach in formation as the president walked out and all of the people and the speeches were given, and hearing the waves crash behind me there on the English Channel, marching down to Point du Hoc where the Rangers scaled it, and walking through the little towns, people calling out to us, "Thank you, thank you." There were banners everywhere that said 1994, 1944, thank you, and 1994, welcome. There was no Yankee go home or anything like that. It was all very appreciative people waving flags and handing out gifts. It was amazing. I remember walking back from Point du Hoc. We were marching and calling cadence, and we were in Echo Company, 2nd of the 16th Infantry, and we called ourselves the Eagles. And as we would march, we would say 1, 2, 3, 4 Eagles. And as we're marching back from that historic place, coming through some of the little villages, they had heard us walking there, and as we were coming back, people were yelling from the sidewalks, "Go Eagles, go Eagles." And it was a very moving experience for me. But I think the most amazing thing was just the smallest encounter. Not only being there and standing in the footprints of giants and seeing the pillboxes and being in them, and down on the beach. I remember going up into a bunker up on the hill and looking down onto the beach, and I knew about where I had been, and as I looked through the opening in that pillbox, I saw almost exactly where I was standing, and I realized that had I been standing there 50 years before, I'd have probably been killed. It was just a terrible, terrible time, and the fact that people survived and that we won the war is miraculous in its own right. God has certainly blessed all of us. So to see all of these things and experience all of these things, and to have been there and to meet the people and be around the countryside was amazing. But there was one moment at the unveiling of the statue of the youth rising from the water, and if you Google that, you'll find it. It's this big horseshoe-shaped amphitheater-looking thing, and the statue of a youth coming up out of the water, like the spirit coming up out of the water of the youth of the people who served and died there, like their spirit ascending to heaven or something. And there was an old man in a wheelchair, and this is 50 years after the fact. And so these guys, these old veterans, were in their 70s then, they're in their 90s now. Many have gone on home now and received their reward for their years of hard labor. But I remember I was kind of in between the shots in my picture taking, and I had taken pictures of this new what's the word I'm looking for? Fountain? No, it was the new statue and the new thing there. And as I was reloading my camera or something, this old man in a wheelchair being pushed by his wife, and as they came up, I looked at him and I struck up a conversation with him. And I'm in uniform. In those days, we wore the green camouflage uniform, and the word is memorial that I'm looking for, at this memorial. And this man comes up in his wheelchair, and he's wearing his hat, his pointed hat, and he's got pins on it and on his collar and on his chest. And I asked him about his unit, and I asked him about it, and yes, he had been there and these things. And I said, "Sir, I wish there was something I had to give you. I wish there was some way that I could thank you for what you did and what y'all did." And I stood there and I said, "The only thing that I have to give you is my great thanks and respect and honor." And I stepped back and I saluted him, and he saluted me back. Now, I was an E4. I was a specialist at the time, just an E4. And I said, when he saluted me back, I said, "You didn't have to do that." He said, "I know. But you're wearing the uniform now." And that has stayed with me all these years. That our great appreciation for these guys and the women who served, landing on the beaches and giving their all, giving their lives, giving us the freedom that we have enjoyed all of this time. For him to salute me back was a big deal. But for him to recognize that now I was wearing the uniform and serving him was greater. And I think of that when I go to thank other veterans. And in the years that have passed since then, when I have been thanked just for wearing the uniform, I had occasion to thank a very young man, thinking of that very same thing. I was just about to retire, and this young man showed up in uniform, and I thanked him for his service. And I was thinking of that old guy in France who thanked me, that I got to pay it forward a little bit. It's all in the way you look at it. You know, it's a great honor to serve, and it's greater to recognize those serving. And I hope and pray that we will never forget the sacrifice that has been made through the years, going as far back as history and memory will allow. But that memory will stay with me forever. And so I thank him, and I thank them, and I thank you for those of you who served before me, along with me, and now serving after me. Thank you for your service, and thanks for watching.